Good day, everybody. I'm going to start this video with a little history lesson. The gentleman you're looking at is Harvey Firestone, who started the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company on August 3rd, 1900 in Akron, Ohio. By 1906, his sales had passed the $1 million mark, and of course the brand was on its way to becoming a household name. By 1918, Firestone's shipped by truck. That movement started by him pioneers the trucking industry, and really forever changes the shipping industry. I mean, trucking is still, enormous even till today. His success put him in really good company. He hung around with the giants of the day. In this photograph, from left to right, are Harvey Firestone, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and then on the right is environmentalist John Burroughs. Firestone didn't just do auto tires. In 1934, he began to support the needs of rural folks, and this is a picture of converting outdated steel tractor wheels to new Firestone pneumatic tires, which proved an incredible benefit to farmers as it made their machines more productive, and of course the ride a lot smoother. I couldn't find the exact date when it started, but Firestone eventually began to add things that you could purchase at their store. So you didn't just purchase your tires there, or get your car serviced. You actually could buy other things. And here's a picture of one of those stores. This would be in 1940, because that sign says 40th anniversary sale. And you can see there's tires in the window, and there's some bicycles out front. The next picture I have is from a store about the same time, around 1940, which was Christmas time in Memphis. This store was in Memphis. And if you look close, of course, you can see, and it says, the sign across the front, it says radios, robes, juvenile vehicles, toys, some other things there which are available. So, and you can see in the window, there's all different kinds of things that you could buy. And the last picture was a picture inside of one of those stores where, today, if you go to a tire store, why you sit around next to usually something playing cable TV, and you can get a snack out of a machine, maybe, or something like that. But here you were surrounded by the stuff that they sold. There were little radios up there and on the shelf, and some bigger radios down below. There's a bicycle up on top, so all kinds of stuff. So it was a great innovation. I don't know exactly when this type of store for Firestone stopped, but for my case, for what we're doing today, in the year 1939, out of one of those stores was purchased a Firestone Air Chief model S-7398-1, called. It had a nickname, the Beaumont. And that's what we're going to work on today. This is a flea market find for me from about 2 years ago. I think I spent $15 on it, if you want to know. And we're going to try and see if we can't get this old thing back to life. Here's what we're working with. It's plenty dirty. We'll take care of that. power cord's been removed. It's right, and the leads for that I think are right here. Interesting. Look at the stretch on that spring. I wonder if that's the way that's supposed to be. We'll have to do some investigation on that, I guess. Front dial's in really nice shape. It's just a little dirty. This doesn't rub. It looks good, but it's been repaired with tape, some kind of tape. If I tried to pull those off, I would destroy it. And I don't have a spare speaker, so I don't want to do that. And also, can you see there's another little tear there? We'll have to fix that, but I'm not going to be using tape to do that. So let me lean it back and we'll see what we got underneath. Well, here's what we got. Fairly unmolested, I think, except for these that are obviously not from 1939. So we're going to replace those no matter what. 40 microfarad at 450 volts. Okay. And everything else looks original. Here's one of those gimmick capacitors with the wire wrapped around. I read a thing once where modern day capacitors, you don't need those. Some people replace them and put them back the same way. I don't know. I'll read up on that. Anyway, there we go. So we got a little work ahead of us. Kind of continuing on with our inspection. Something I noticed here. Watch the base of that tube. It shouldn't do that. And I suppose that kind of thing can happen if someone who takes a tube out, if you just take the top of the tube and start trying to pull on it, I suppose that you could loosen it up like that. Should always, of course, take it by the base and loosen it from the base. So a lot of times, I won't watch you. Sometimes I've made you watch me test tubes, and sometimes I'll just say, oh, I tested the tubes and they were good. And sometimes I do that first thing, and sometimes I do it later in the process. But with this, I think I'm going to pull these tubes and see what's good and what's bad and make sure this guy's okay. Well, that tube that had a little motion in it, can you see it? Well, it's kind of hard to see there, but it's loose. 35Z5, and look what it says on it, Firestone Fire Chief. Got to be an original tube. So that's the rectifier tube, and we've pulled out the tester. I've got it all. I'm doing that by the base. So we've got it all set up. I'm going to turn it on. We'll give it a second. Well, first thing we can do is check for shorts. That's okay. Leakage test. It's okay. Quality. God, that's hard to believe. That's hard to believe. But that's still a good tube. So continuing on with the tubes, they all tested good, but I'll show you this last one, which is 35L6. I've got the tester set up correctly for that. The tube's in. It's warming up. Tube is in. Power's on. All that. The short light comes on intermittently. There, you see that? And let's go, and there it is. Let's go around the clock here. There's another place where it comes on. It's dim, but there's a short. I don't even know if you should do this if it's got shorts, but fails the leakage test, emission test. Quality is good, but it's got shorts and it fails the grid emission test. So that tube, no good. So we're going to have to go through. I don't have a huge stash. We'll have to go through my stash of tubes and see if I've got one of those. I don't think that I do. If not, I'll order it. It'll get here as soon as it gets here, and we'll go on with other stuff. But the other tubes were fine. So this was the only bad tube in the bunch. My inclination is always, at this point, let's just plug it in and see what she'll do. But I'm going to go ahead and replace these electrolytic capacitors first anyway before I try a power up. So I don't know when these replacements were, but that was the technology then. Here's the technology now. Look at the difference in that. So what I'll do is clip these out. I have two of these, and I'll put them in, and then we will try and do a little power up, even though all these other paper caps, they're all going to get replaced. Okay, so with electrolytics replaced, and these, like I said, these might have been good anyway, but I knew I was going to replace them. So with those replaced, I'm going to go ahead and give this a power up test and see what happens. So I don't know about you guys, but if there's a tube I don't have and I order one, I usually will order two or maybe even more. So this is a new 35 L6 that's been put in here. The old one had, as you saw, lots of problems. So let's turn it on. Let's get these little guys out of the way here. All right, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to start bringing up the voltage slowly. Let's get my test leads out of here. That is on. That's set to 25 volts. And nothing. 50. Let me just turn my light off for a second. I don't see any filaments. $75. The dial light is not illuminating. Okay. So what do we think it is? Well, first, this doesn't work. Let's get rid of that. Huh. I don't know if you can see that. The dial light did come on. There you can see just barely glowing. Aha! So I hear something coming out of the speaker. But it's not very loud, and I'm not getting any stations. Okay, well, let's stop here for a second, and I'm going to look around and see what I can find that's wrong. Okay, so you know what my high-tech solution was? Take the tube out, use my little sanding pad to sand off the pins on the tubes a little bit, put them back in. Guess what? It works.
Is there too corrupt to join NATO, but in zero very real, serious dollars, especially if you're going to a four-year school, right? You need a
All right.
to pay
Well, that speaker sounds like crap. It's got tape on it. It's got other rips. So we're going to take care of that. I think that probably we've done enough for part one. This is probably long enough to be the first part. And so we'll probably stop here. And so when you saw the underside of that chassis, here's what we're going to do before you see the beginning of part two. I'll go ahead and replace all those paper capacitors. And while I'm in the area of replacing a capacitor, I'll check the resistors nearby. And if any of those need to be replaced, we'll do that also. So when we start part two, we'll already have everything done under the chassis, all the recapping and any resistors, and we'll do an alignment. Some radios that I resell, I just align them by ear, but I think I'm going to keep this one, so I'll probably try to do a proper alignment on it. And then the case for this is in really sorry shape, so we're going to have to do some, we're going to have to figure out a way to do certain things to make that look good. So for part one, this is it. I appreciate everybody watching. Take care, and part two will be along shortly. Thanks for watching, everybody. I sure do appreciate it.